So it looks to me like the LithiumBatteryWarehouse 100 amp hour battery is 100 amps. It's taken 2 days to completely test it. It even started my generator when it was down to 20 amps. So I think it's a good value and it's a good buy. It's also smaller than competing batteries, so it's got a higher energy density, and I think I could actually fit 2 of them in my battery bay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. So this is my current battery, and in another video I just capacity tested it and discovered that it's in actually great shape. It's got 120 amp hours, definitely usable. But anyway, I bought this new battery from LithiumBatteryWarehouse. There's the dog. So this is from LithiumBatteryWarehouse. It's supposed to be 100 amp hours. It only weighs 25 pounds. I received it. It's got 13.5 volts, which means it's right at about 95. 13.5. It's pretty much fully charged. 99.5% charged maybe. So I'll be putting it in and doing a load test. This is a pretty nice battery. It's got a nice thick case. It's feels a little hollow inside. Lord knows what's in there. But it's also got these nifty handles to make it easier to carry. Like I said, it's pretty light. They did a good job, I guess, putting it together. There's just a little bit of extra glue right there, but it looks good. It's all sealed. It's got a 6-year warranty, 1280 watt hours, 100 amp hours. Let's install it. But what you need to know is see all these wires. They're all wired to this battery management system, and even though you don't see all those wires in this battery, they're inside. They're in there. If this battery ever fails, chances are it's the BMS that failed and not the actual cells. These actual cells are really resilient, incredibly resilient. I also have a balancer on there, which is redundant, but I like to be able to tell what each cell is at voltage-wise. Anyway, now to put in this new guy. So I've got the new battery installed, and you can see how much cleaner the installation is. I think I could fit 2 of these batteries in here if I built up the floor a little bit. Anyway, it's a really nice small battery. Here's my Hall effect sensor. That'll give me current readings, telling me how many amps I'm drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely discharge this battery, and then I'm going to charge it all the way back up, and I'm going to reprogram my battery meter to reflect 100 amp hours, and then tomorrow I'll completely discharge the battery and see if it really has 100 amp hours. So it's the next day, and I've allowed the battery to charge overnight, and you can see how much cleaner the installation was as compared to the old battery. Anyway, I used the Progressive Dynamics battery charger to charge it, and right now we're at 14.6 volts and 0 amps. So I want to discharge the battery. So the first thing I need to do is unplug shore power. And now I need to turn some stuff on. So we'll turn all these lights on, turn on the TV, reading light. I don't turn on the porch light because it's still incandescent, and that'll just use up the power in the filament in the bulb, so it'll burn out sooner. Make sure my solar panels are off. What else? Turn on this backlight. We need to turn on the fan. So you can see all those lights and the TV are only pulling 6 amps. And I think most of that is actually the TV, because all these bulbs are LED now. But watch the fan. So that's pulling 3 or 4 amps all by itself. We'll turn on this fan too. So we're pulling 10.7, and now we'll do the battery killer. Turn on the refrigerator, on battery. Now we're pulling almost 27 amps. So I'm going to be checking on this every hour. And then as it gets almost empty, you see we have 99.8 amp hours left. So 25 amps, roughly 3 hours. I'm going to check it. For 3 hours, I'm going to check it every hour. And then in the last hour, I'll start checking it every 15 minutes. So it's been an hour, and everything's still working. The battery is not noticeably warm or anything. Everything's still on, still watching TV. And we're pulling 26.4 amps. And it says we have 76.9 amps to go. So I'll be back in another hour. So it sounds like everything's still on. It's been 2 hours. And yep, TV's going, everything's going. And we're pulling 25.2 amps. It says we got 49.3 amp hours left, so we're about the halfway point. Come back in another hour. So it's been 3 hours, and it seems like everything is still working. The battery is not warm, nice and cool to the touch. Everything's still on. And it says that we've got 21.9 amps left. So the next thing I'm going to do is turn off all this stuff and try to start the generator, because this is where I'd normally try and start the generator. So I've turned everything off. We're drawing very little current, mostly because I just turned the gas on. I'm not really concerned. The generator may or may not start, because I haven't started it in a while. There's probably air in the line, but I want to hear if it turns over. So we're going to try and start it. And it turns over. Look at that. It's pulling 65 amps. It pulled over 70. So the generator isn't actually plugged into the RV. I don't have an automatic transfer switch. But it started when the battery had less than a quarter left, which is really good. So I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to turn all this stuff back on again, and see what we've got. I'll check back in maybe 20 minutes. So it's been 3 hours and 15 minutes, and it looks like everything is still running. And it says we're down to 16.4 amp hours, and I'll be back again in 15 minutes. We've got a little bit less than 5 amp hours left, and I suspect the capacity is as advertised. I suspect it is a 100 amp hour battery. So we're down to 1.5 amp hours, and it's still going. My equipment might be off by as much as 5%, but that still puts it very close to 100 amp hours. I'm going to let it go until it stops. So the battery has just gone to 0, which means we burned through 100 amp hours of energy. I use a Hall effect, or this monitor uses a Hall effect sensor. It could be off by a couple of percent, maybe. At these high current rates, though, it should be off by very, very little. So this is definitely a 100 amp hour battery, and I'm not sure there's any point in continuing the test. It's definitely 100 amp hours. So it looks to me like the LithiumBatteryWarehouse 100 amp hour battery is 100 amps. It's taken 2 days to completely test it. It even started my generator when it was down to 20 amps. So I think it's a good value and it's a good buy. It's also smaller than competing batteries, so it's got a higher energy density. And I think I could actually fit 2 of them in my battery bay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video.